Recording.
Okay, control system. I powered the machine up, and you have basically, it starts up and you get your home screen. Let's take a look at the manual mode. You've got an option of running it or jog. Okay, in jog, you hit this, and the machine just jogs. It stops running when you release the green button, the go button, or you have run, and you can run it. Okay. So you have enable sensors or disable sensors, or ignore sensors basically. I have them ignoring the sensors right now, the system ignoring the sensors because there's no cans to the machine or in the machine. It would just give you lots of errors, be a lot of problems. We need to hook up a full can line to this machine in order to get this to operate correctly. So that will happen upon installation of the machine. Okay, same way with the conveyor, you can jog it when you're priming the machine. Set it to jog. There we go. You can actually show that if you want. So when you're priming the machine, you run product up to the machine and then turn the machine until you prime it. Okay? All right, let's go to, that pretty much explains everything that's going on. You have both run and jog options in manual mode. Okay? And you have our sensors being ignored. Let's go back to home. This is auto mode. You use auto mode. It's like flying an airplane. This machine's designed to be basically hands-off. It takes care of itself in terms of feeding product to the machine. Having said that, run in an automated mode, and you'll have your best results in terms of weight control and product appearance. So your options are basically speed. You can increase your speed a little bit at a time or a lot at a time, depending on how you want to do it. I can jump from 20 to 90%, even higher, up to 100%, just with a touch of the screen. You have an alarms page. If something comes up, VFD fails, or you run out of cans, as an example, there's a can backup between this machine and the seamer. It's going to show you that error on this page, and you have the option of clearing the alarms too. I don't see the button now, but that when you do get an alarm, it'll give you that button where you can just clear the alarms. Unless it's a hard alarm, then you have to correct the reason for the alarm before it'll clear. So that's basically the control system operation. When you start the machine up for the first time, you're going to go to manual mode, and you're going to set it to jog, and you're going to enable the conveyor, and you're going to run the conveyor till you get product into the bowl, till you get maybe an inch or two of product in the bowl, and then you're going to stop it, and then you're going to run your filler in jog to spread a little bit of product, get maybe an inch or two in the bowl. Then you're going to stop your filler, and then you're going to run your conveyor until you completely fill the holes around in the filling basin with product. In other words, you're just priming the machine. And at that point, you go back to automated mode, hit the start button at whatever speed you want to run it at, in cans per minute or percentage, and then the control system then takes over. And if it's dialed in correctly, which it will be, it'll take off and run, and it'll maintain the settings the filling setting that you want in terms of the bowl height. So you go to the next page in automated mode. This is your conveyor output, actual reserve value, and your reserve target. Your reserve target's up here, the straight line. Your actual reserve here is here, and this is your conveyor trying to react to any errors or any situations that are going on. So you can actually be in another room, another state, another country, and you can look at this, via the internet, whatever the case may be, and you can actually see how the machine is performing in terms of the control system. Okay, next page. This is your batch counter. I think you can reset that to 0, and it'll count how many cans you've run in a particular given amount of time. Next one, you have a restricted area. Now, you've got to log in. Don't show this, okay? So go back. Now, I've entered a passcode, which I don't want everybody to know because there's some sensitive information in here. If you start changing things in here, you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself in quite a bit of trouble. So the idea is to keep the password on it and only let certain people in here that understand it. But I talked earlier about the filling basin reserve target. You can change that. If you want to carry a little more reserve, as an example, at high speeds, you're starting to run light cans every once in a while and the machine's really struggling, sometimes you can help that by changing the reserve. Right now it's 1.50 inches. So if I go 1.8, let's see if I can get that to work. Oops, I'm going to clear that. 180, enter. That's that button. Now I've increased it by roughly 3/8 of an inch in reserve, and sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. It's just one of those things where we have to dial the machine in to your particular product and line speed. Everybody's product is a little bit different, so this is something you have to work on during the installation of the machine. I have the container sensors disabled. I spoke about that earlier because we don't have a can line hooked up to that, so we can't monitor containers because there's no containers to the machine. What we have here is PI sample rate. Below that, that's math that's being done in the PLC to try to get the control system to work correctly. Product drop advance, that's your timing from the end of the conveyor into your filling basin. It takes time for the product to leave the end of your conveyor to hit the filling basin, so you can dial that in. If you're a little late or a little bit ahead of your target, you can change this. Okay, speed compensation, same thing. Sensor to conveyor indexes, number of stations, the 12 station machine. Maximum filler dry speed is 90 hertz. Next. Integral constant, these are numbers that are plugged in there to help the conveyor in the machine cope with targeting at speeds, high speeds. Okay. In the manual there's some deep explanation on that, and I'll go into that during the installation of the machine. But these are numbers you'll mess around with to try to get this thing dialed in, or I will, and then we'll record that and you'll have that for future reference. Next, input output gain, basically same thing. You're dialing in your conveyor speeds and reactions to actual conditions in your plant by changing these numbers. You know, you can change it if you want, okay, if you need to, rather. Okay, next you're going to get like that screen on the other page, page 2 I believe it was, in auto mode. You get your actual conveyor, what's going on. You can see where there's a low filling basin, or excuse me, a low chamber. This is the conveyor reacting in both run time and ramp up and ramp down time to try to correct that low filling base, or filling chamber. Okay, so it's pretty useful in that respect. This is raw ultrasonic data. If your ultrasonic sensor is failing, it'll be obvious in here. You'll see it's not reacting or doing what it's supposed to do. Product codes, that I have no idea. I'll have to go back to the manual, figure that out. It's something I've never worked with. I think it's not really relative to this installation. There's several pages of that apparently. Yeah, I just don't know if that's even that's something that's changeable. There's some data you can enter in there. I don't know what that's for. I'll have to do some research on that. Now we're back to page 1. So let's exit that. And that's a basic overview of the control system. There also are help pages. Let's go in and take a look. So it'll tell you filler speed, how to adjust it, the reasons why. And if you go to the next page as an example, go to help, and it'll explain what your targets are and what you're actually seeing on the graph. It's useful for helping you understand how the control systems work. Okay, come on, go back. Let's go to the next page, next page, next page, help. restricted area. It's telling you experienced technicians only in this area. So I'm going to give the password to the designated person at the factory, and that's it. I suggest that you keep everybody else out of this area of the machine, because again, you make a big mistake in here, it's hard to figure out how to correct it.